So Leaders and Schemers is based on a speech I had the honor of making to and on behalf of the graduating class of African Leadership Academy in 2021, in which I spoke about the debts that we owe Africa, that the price for the privilege that we accrued from our 2 years on that campus had to be paid forward to the continent. We have a responsibility, having spent time in high castles, to go back to the communities from which we hail and to have an impact there. At the heart of the memoir sits this tension between leaders and schemers, a tension that I introduced in the graduation speech when I ended by asking, are we the next generation of African leaders, or are we the next generation of African schemers? In every individual is a potential leader, because we all ought to lead in different capacities. There is also a latent potential schemer in every leader. So there is no hard distinction between the two. However, the engine, the primary drive for leadership is where we see the distinction between those we call leaders and those we call schemers. Are you driven to lead as an obligation to yourself, or you're driven to lead in service to the community that you hail from? Are you driven to lead out of ambition, self-aggrandizement, or it's a genuine desire to serve and to see the society that you hail from and the people who have made you go forward as a society? Therein lies the distinction between a leader and a schemer. At the heart of this book follows the story of a young man from Iganga Boys Boarding Primary School in Eastern Uganda to St. Mary's College Kisubi, where I had the opportunity to serve as assistant head prefect in my ordinary level, head prefect at the advanced level, and the district speaker of the Uganda National Students Association, where I also went through different formative experiences as a leader and learned over and over again that it's about how other people pour into you. It's often said that man is a product of influence, that none of us comes into this world fully formed. We are all the product of many different people, many different forces that shape us into the people that we are today. So the book traces my journey from Eastern Uganda, eventually to South Africa at the African Leadership Academy, an institution that has devoted itself over time to developing the next generation of African leaders. There, I traced the maturity and the development of my intellectual, political, and spiritual formation as an individual in a manner that I believe many people can draw on for their own personal lives. The book is dedicated to all my parents in Uganda and around the world. And I ask the question, without you, what is Olemo? This comes from the African understanding that it takes a village to raise a child. So the book traces the teachers, the mentors, the friends, and the experiences that have shaped me and many other people around me into the people that we've become today. None of us is self-made. It is a big lie to tell yourself that you're the product of your own efforts alone. So Leaders and Schemers is, in fact, a celebration of all those who have had a prominent role in my intellectual, in my spiritual, and in my political formation. Leaders and Schemers traces my journey from or through some of the most esteemed institutions of learning in Africa, from Iganga Boys Boarding Primary School in Eastern Uganda that has produced a lot of prominent people in the country, to St. Mary's College Kisubi, an institution founded in 1906 and that has since produced many renowned Ugandans. Eventually, to the African Leadership Academy in South Africa, an institution whose sworn mission is to develop the next generation of African leaders. Now, across all these institutions, there is the ambition to train leaders. However, you find, and this is the tension that is demonstrated in the book, that such institutions also offer comfort and privileges that can easily disconnect you from the cause for which you go there in the first place. So it often comes down to individual choices about what we are going to do. Are we going to follow the path of least resistance and make our education about a service to our own ambitions and agendas? Or are we going to use the opportunities that we have to learn and advance ourselves in the service of the greater good? We live in a world that is increasingly in need of what Dr. Achille Mbembe called planetary consciousness, what Frantz Fanon called a new humanism. Leaders in Schemas is a story of a young man progressively disabusing himself of parochialism, from a small town, Apache, in northern Uganda, to different regions of Uganda, the East African community, eventually spending 2 years in South Africa before veering out of the continent. So Leaders and Schemas is about the appreciation of the similarities and the contrasts of the human experience and how collectively we can imagine a shared and common humanity and destination for mankind. So there is no preordained path to leadership, whether in church, whether in your high school or in your university or at a national level. However, one constant is, regardless of your privilege, regardless of your background, is that we need to prepare to lead. But how do we prepare to lead with integrity and with purpose? And this is where we need to take into account what it actually takes to move our societies from where we are to where they need to be. So Leaders and Schemas is also an appreciation of how learning takes place from mimicry at the first instance, which we all do, essentially to developing substance, from form, to substance. So regardless of your background, regardless of where you come from, you ought to lead and you can lead. But we need to be intentional about putting ourselves through the experiences, about giving ourselves the necessary kind of learning about our societies, about the communities, about the institutions that we want to lead, so that when comes our time to be able to move our societies forward, we are not just critics, but we are ready as the men and women in those arenas. I'm very grateful to Aluta Press because they helped me pick the manuscript from just a Google document that had my thoughts to a fully fleshed out memoir. They did the typesetting. They gave me a very beautiful cover that reflects some of the themes in the book, and they've been in charge of the entire process to see that book come to life and to see it accessible to all people out there who aspire in one form or another to leadership. So I'm very grateful to the people at Aluta Press for putting all this together and for helping me pick up this manuscript that I'd since abandoned some time back. Leaders and Schemas launches on April 16th at the University of Notre Dame, my alma mater, where for 4 years I grew as a leader, I was challenged as a leader, and it will be available on all platforms, on Amazon, for those of you who prefer to read it on your electronic devices. Physical copies will also be available on the African continent, in Kenya, in Uganda, in South Africa, and in Europe as well. So I look forward to seeing those of you who can make it to the launch physically and virtually, and let's commit ourselves again to that genuine task of preparing to lead in our societies. Thank you very much.